Hugh Andree is here. Hugh, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Mike.
Welcome back into the Independent Republic, Mike Graham. You and I have got some good news to impart, but before we do the good news, let's talk about the bad news, which is the budget and veterans and the amount of money that has been set aside for them, because you showed me some statistics last night which I could barely believe.
Yeah. Look, it's good news. There's better news to follow. I think, it's been budget week, so all the talk's been around that. Mr. Wallace asked for 11 billion and only got 5.
Right.
And Mr. Mercer, Minister for the Veterans Affairs, who, as you know, I'm a big supporter of, has been given 33 million to be used as part of Op Fortitude. And this is really focused around, obviously, the homeless veterans, of which there are.
And it sounds like a lot of money on the face of it, doesn't it? It sounds like it's a lot of money,
Mike. 60,000.
Yes.
But rather 33 million. But if there are 60,000 homeless veterans...
Is that the number? Because that's an extraordinary number.
That's kind of £540 per person, which will get them about 3 nights at a Premier Inn.
Right.
And then when I start thinking about the sort of money that we're spending on hotels, etc., etc., it's 7 million a day.
7 million a day, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's a start, but I think we can do a lot better.
It's a bit of a drop in the ocean. I mean, is it the first time they've sort of recognised that it's a problem, though? Is it the first time they've actually given it some money?
No, it's not. And, Johnny Mercer set up, it was, through his campaigning, support from the Sun, we got the Veterans Affairs Office established. And God knows he has enough, fights that he has to take on.
Sure.
But it's not enough. And actually, that's for homelessness and employment. That'll be gone by Thursday.
Yeah.
So I think, what we really need to do is keep that pressure on. Because, if we are going to make this country the best country in the world to be a veteran, we've got our mission, but we've got a long way to go.
That's a big number. I don't think many people would have known that the number of people who are actually homeless from the armed forces is 60,000. It's a lot of people.
Yeah. No.
And where would you say most of them are kind of spending the night? I know that's a difficult question to answer, probably, but I mean, are they in hostels sometimes? Are they on the streets? They're not all on the streets, hopefully.
No, they're not all on the streets. And I think going back to the trip I made to Cornwall down to Noon Craig, that gave me really first-hand experience of, seeing individuals, especially in the West Country. They've got an awful lot of homeless veterans down there. They almost go down there to disappear.
Right.
And I think one of the issues we have is, military personnel. So I always say to employers, are the sort of people, give them a task, make sure they understand what their limitations and constraints are, and they will get on and do it. Problem is, they're often too proud to reach out and ask for help.
Right.
And, this has been an ongoing theme for the last few years about actually getting men to talk about their mental health issues, but specifically in the military, I think it's drilled into them.
Well, you're
the best.
Trained not to do that.
Yeah, it's drilled into them. You're the best. Don't show weakness. It ain't training if it ain't raining.
Right.
And so they don't. They don't like to put their hands up. But I think we are making progress, and whilst it is only 33 million, it's a start.
Yeah.
But we need to keep that pressure on, because we shouldn't have any homeless veterans whatsoever in this country.
Well, I mean, I think particularly given, I know you don't necessarily want to say it, but given the amount of help that people are getting who are coming here illegally, it really is a shame that that help is not extended or hasn't been first given to people who have served their country.
Yeah, and as you know, I'm sort of apolitical, Mike. I work for whoever's in charge. That was my back. However, there's a big silent majority out there who are asking the question: why have we got 60,000 homeless veterans who are only getting 33 million, and we're spending 6 million a day on hotels, or 380 million on bike lanes in London, and so on and so on. It's about.
It's difficult not to be political, but I appreciate that you don't need to be. But I'll do that for you. Don't worry. Now, last time we spoke, you were talking about a patch of land that had been donated very kindly to you by a businesswoman. Tell us what the latest is on that.
Yeah, this is a wonderful story. Again, thanks to your programme and one of the viewers. A lovely lady, British Sikh origin, who lives out near Ealing. Her family have a plot of land. It's been a struggle for her to get planning permission and she is a planning campaigner. She is an expert. She will quote, every section
chapter and verse,
yes. Yeah, and in fact we're going to go and speak with Shelley shortly.
We've got Shelley, I think, standing by, so let's see if we can get Shelley Chahal in on the conversation. She's the founder of the Planning Reform Action Group. Shelley, a very good afternoon to you, if I can say that. Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me to your show.
Not at all. Can you tell us, Shelley, what made you think of donating this patch of land and when you found out about Hugh's need for it?
Well, thank you. Yes, if I may say, I'm afraid we're not that wealthy to donate. So it would be a sort of a joint venture initiative. But the point that, if I may say, I really thank Hugh Andree, who I haven't known very long, but the campaigning work that he's been doing with the support of Mr. Johnny Mercer, MP for Portsmouth, I really believe is crucial for our national self-esteem, especially on the global scene, because the world does rely on the British Armed Services to step in where needed. But if they were to witness how veterans are treated once they've retired or returned from service, I really don't think that showers us as a country in glory. Yeah. And frankly, the veteran community, including their families, to whom we who do not serve in the armed forces owe a great debt of gratitude too. And those can't just be words. So I agree with you and Mr. Mercer that the veteran community should be on the priority register for every essential need that they have, which are particular to them due to their experiences, for that all to be met. And housing, of course, is a crucial area. I mean, shelter. If people don't have shelter, if we don't provide shelter to those who are prepared to take a bullet for us, well, what does it say about our national psyche? And so the key point here is that, regrettably, we have a dysfunctional planning system. And that doesn't need any new legislation for that to be reversed, for that to be corrected. Regrettably, that which has been legislated by Parliament is not being implemented in practice, in practical terms. It's just a whole complete disregard. And that's why we have the problems of homelessness as it is. If I may mention that only 12% of the land in this country is developed. So there is a huge amount of previously developed land that has been allowed to fester, lie idle, become derelict.
And I think Hugh has said to us here at Talk TV before that the land in question, the land that you're going to be involved with here, has been used before for a commercial purpose, and you're hopeful that you can get housing built on there, right?
Well, I mean, hopeful. I would hope to be hopeful. If the system were to work properly, as it should do, then certainly there should be no problem whatsoever. Regrettably, that's not the case. Land that has got a circa 500-year development history, when that has been lying idle, unproductive to the UK economy since circa 1972, I mean, that just says everything about the state of our country as we find it today. Our competitors in the world, Indonesia, India, Turkey, they can build airport cities in 2 years. And if the planning authorities do not reform, then I doubt that we will ever be able to compete in that same regard. We won't be able to build in a century. And without development, which is another word for growth, we have no hope of any economic growth if the engine of our country, which is the planning system, continues to remain dysfunctional.
Absolutely. Shelley, listen, thanks for telling us all that. Hugh, back to you. You are, I know Shelley may be more of a realist perhaps, but hopefully, if you're able to, the end point that you want to get to is building houses for veterans, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I went and met with Shelley, who's really quite inspirational and certainly the fount of all knowledge on all things planning. And I looked at the site. It's literally, it's a mile and a half from Heathrow.
Yeah.
And it's next to the M4. By the time I got back to my office from last week's show, someone had called me, and they have a residential development company that focuses on environmentally friendly, sustainable social housing, which they actually do in partnership with the church.
Okay.
So they're really interested in looking at the possibilities, whether it can be developed, how long it might take, and even employing veterans who we can then train and help build those houses.
Right.
So,
and it could be something that you might be able to repeat around the country.
I hope so. I mean, it is being done elsewhere, but as Shelley said, it's about getting the planning permission. If we don't plan, we don't build infrastructure, we don't build buildings, we're not going to grow, let alone, you know, make sure that our veterans have somewhere to live.
And they do need somewhere to live.
So yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed on that, and I'll keep you updated on how we progress.
Good. Well, I've been speaking to a couple of people as well who want to talk to you. So there's a bit of a network developing and building. And if there is anybody out there who knows a bit about development, don't worry that Hugh's already got somebody, because there's all hands to the deck at this point, isn't it?
Absolutely.
If you've got anything that you may wish to add or you may wish to point out or anything like that, you can get in touch with us and we can put you in touch with Hugh. You can be found on Twitter. Hugh Andree, of course. Finally, because I mean, unbelievably, we're out of time again. Tell us about the little national insurance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thing that's going on.
As you know, the last 13 years I've been helping veterans find jobs, putting them into employment, and I came across, and actually it was Johnny Mercer who made me aware of the national insurance holiday for employers in this country who hire a service leaver. So this is someone, it's a veteran, but it's someone who's leaving the forces and they're taking their first job in what we call Civvy Street. Okay. It runs for the first 12 months. It's inclusive up to the upper second threshold, which is circa 50,000 per annum. Right. And for that year, the employer pays no national insurance.
Okay.
Which is a huge saving.
It's a big thing, yeah.
It's a huge saving. That can be used for training, etc. But I'm just conscious that, you know, many of the companies that I've been speaking to over the last couple of weeks, in fact, not one was aware of this tax break to support veterans. Yeah. So that's why I really wanted just to sort of talk about it and put it out there. And if anyone wants to discuss further, please, you know, contact me at Force Select. Yes. You know, and I can point them in the right direction and give them a bit more detail. Okay, brilliant stuff. Well, we'll look forward to another update soon, possibly next week. And we've got Ukraine to talk about another time as well. Hugh Andree, find him at Force Select. Is it forceselect.org? Forceselect.com. That's the place to look.